Let me just start off by saying that if you don't want to hear me roasting action figures for like 20 minutes straight, this is definitely not the video for you, because I'm going to go hard at these guys. I'm going to roast them. I'm going to make fun of them. I might even insult their mothers. Okay, that's just how I roll. But seriously, guys, let's get straight into today's video, because right as I said, McFarlane was just boring me to death with a lot of his releases. Mentioned this before. He's been doing some, interesting stuff, right? Like recently, he's done some great action figures. I've already mentioned Captain Cold, Guy Gardner, Power Girl, so on and so forth. A lot of the live action Superman stuff looks really good. I haven't picked up any of it, but it definitely, looks pretty interesting. But in today's video, I wanted to talk about some of the newer releases. I'm not going to get too deep into it, okay? I'm just going to completely bash these figures because, I don't know, I'm just not as excited about these. Now, granted, there is one release here that I think is pretty interesting. The rest I'll only pick up if it's like on clearance or sale or whatever the case may be. So let's get straight into it. So the first figure here, I thought that I would talk about the Wonder Woman action figure. This is supposed to be based on her first appearance. You get 6 cents total. It is a DC Direct action figure. We don't know exactly what the price point of this figure is. I think I checked multiple different listings and they're just all over the place. This is going to be, I think, a $25 price point, unless, sometimes GameStop marks them up a little bit here and there. What's really interesting about this figure, and I think McFarlane for the most part has varied their first appearance action figures. Like, for example, if you're looking at like first appearance Green Lantern, it depends on, who your Green Lantern is, because we did get a very classic Guy Gardner, and that one was a DC Collector's Edition line, but there was an alternate. I'm trying to remember exactly who it was, but like the first Green Lantern release, that was also, I believe, a Collector's Edition line. But then you had, for example, the first appearance Batman, which was not a Collector's Edition line. It was just a regular DC Multiverse action figure. Superman, however, was also a part of the DC Collector's Edition line. So I think he's been kind of varying which character goes to the DC Collector's Edition line and which one just stays in the regular DC Multiverse line or DC Direct line. Here, he's going with the DC Direct, which is pretty interesting. As I said, there's no lasso here, and I think it was a huge missed opportunity, at least from the description and some of the images. I would have loved a soft goods skirt here. I think that was a huge missed opportunity. I know it would kind of look like a Barbie from certain angles, but I think a lot of these female characters definitely need a lot of love. Now, for me personally, I don't like Wonder Woman's first appearance. She looked kind of weird. I don't like the outfit. I just, the uniform just doesn't make any sense to me, but it did at the time when this first made its appearance. I don't love the head sculpt. Now, it could just be me, but some of the promotional images appear to have a little bit of shading on the face. I'm not sure if it was just like a few random promotional images that were not supposed to get released or something, but I'm not sure. I'm just not feeling the hair either. It's very reminiscent of her first appearance. If you're interested, if that's your style, if that's your MO, great. I did not pick up the first appearance Superman. I did not pick up the first appearance Green Lantern. I've only picked up the first appearance Batman, and that's because that figure was phenomenal. I absolutely loved it, wired cape and everything. So it's really up to you. Personally, it's just one of those figures that, even though I know it's pretty accurate to the source material, I just didn't love the overall aesthetics of it, which I think is more of a me problem rather than the figure. I think the figure is, pretty accurate, and it actually does display incredibly well, at least from what I can see in the promotional images. Let's be brutally honest, though. We still need that collector's edition Wonder Woman from a couple of years ago. Please re-release that. Why is it taking so long? Anyways, let's move on to the Superboy action figure, and I'm not going to sit here and bash the fact that this doesn't come with a jacket, a wire jacket, even though McFarlane clearly knows how to do affordable wire jackets. He's already done it for a number of different figures. He just did it. Well, I don't know if it was a wired jacket for the Cowboy Batman, but I think it was a cloth goods, if I'm not mistaken, but he did it with Captain Boomerang. Why does he get a wired cape and then, or a wired jacket, I should say, and then we don't get it with Superboy? No glasses either, and I think he's had multiple different glasses depending on which comic book run you're reading. And am I the only one that is tired of those legs? I know this is a reused body mold. I'm trying to think of exactly who it was. I want to say the Jonathan Kent action figure, but what the heck? They're just so bow-legged. They're just like so oval. They just don't look right. This dude looks like he just rode a horse for like 10 hours straight. For people that have ridden horses, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You can't close your legs. That's what this looks like. The legs and the torso just don't seem to match up. They don't look well together. You can see those ugly ankle joints just popping out. it's just so hideous. It's just not a good looking figure. Now, granted, I think if you pose it on an action figure stand, it'll look good, but that's not what these figures are meant to do, especially McFarlane figures. Like, most people have them just in upright positions. Personally, I would have them on a flight stand. And it does come, by the way, with a couple of extra hands. So 4 hands total here, 2 pairs of hands. I would have loved an alternate head sculpt with some glasses or removable glasses or shades. But I don't know. This just doesn't feel right to me. Overall, the outfit or the uniform that he's wearing, it does, or his suit, it does appear to be pretty comic book accurate, like the color scheme and everything. But again, the jacket isn't there. The legs are really weird. They don't match up with the torso. The torso looks a little bit too wide for his legs. Why are they so thin? This dude clearly skipped leg day. I don't understand what's happening. So this is just one of those really frustrating releases. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I could be completely wrong, but maybe McFarlane decides to do a collector's edition line or a collector's edition rendition of this character and gives him the proper cape and a different head sculpt. I would have been okay with this being like a $35 collector's edition line figure with the alternate face sculpts, the face plates, you know, with different glasses, different shades, one with, one without, maybe one with the red, one with the black shades on. I don't know, just vary it. Maybe have the jacket be soft goods and then you can remove it, you know, like you can take the arms apart. And I don't know, look, I'm just saying, I think McFarlane, there's a slight possibility that he decides to rework this into a DC Collector's Edition figure line, but there's a very small percentage of that because I think everything that he's announced at WonderCon is essentially what we will be getting. Now, lastly, there was a new 2-pack that went up, which is the Merciless action figure. I think it's a variant of the original Build-A-Figure along with Batman Who Laughs. Now, I sold all of my death metal stuff. I hated the articulation scheme here. I'm going to assume that the Merciless figure is 100% reused, just a different color scheme, a different color palette, and then the new Bruce Wayne head sculpt. I think it's Bruce Wayne, right? Merciless. He's like an alternate Bruce Wayne. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's all you're getting. That head sculpt, by the way, looks absolutely phenomenal. And I love the kind of like darker red, like a matte red finish on the suit or the armor. I actually really enjoy it. I think this is a really good release. Batman Who Laughs, I think, is reusing certain pieces, but then they've retooled or added different things to the figure, which is kind of weird. That's what you decided to spend like the new retooling and the new accessory pieces on rather than using it on the Superboy. How dare you? Okay. And this is, by the way, like the 10th version of Batman Who Laughs that we've received. I think there was like a Mortal Kombat version. There was a regular version that built like a Batmobile. There was the winged version. There's so many different versions of Batman Who Laughs. I think this was just, at least in my personal opinion, a huge missed opportunity to really give the fans a proper Superboy. So look, for me personally, I don't know, this is kind of a mixed bag for me. I'm not really that interested in Wonder Woman. The 2-pack is pretty cool, but am I really going to start to dig deep into the metals universe? I think I've kind of moved on. I've moved past it. I want to see more stuff from like the 80s, 90s, more classic characters. I want to see more film stuff from, you know, films that I grew up watching, you know, so maybe some more animated stuff. I've kind of moved past that entire universe, maybe an absolute universe. I know they've been doing in the comic book universe, absolute Batman, Superman, things of that nature. Maybe McFarlane has a little bit of time left to be able to jump into that universe. But overall, I don't know. Don't even get me started on Superboy and how frustrating that figure is. It just doesn't look right unless you're going to, you know, get him into crazy dynamic poses. But overall, it's just weird that he's deciding to reuse some of these body molds, especially the Superboy. We know that's reusing a lot of different limbs and body parts from other figures that felt like it could have been easily either a retooled body mold or a brand new one. But that's just my personal opinion, my personal take. These are now up for pre-order if you guys want to go ahead and check them out. I think the Wonder Woman and the Superboy will be widely available, and I believe the 2-pack will be made available only through Walmart and GameStop, and I'm pretty sure theirs will be in store. You'll be able to find all of these in store. McFarlane has been doing a pretty good job of keeping these at least keeping some of these in stock in store. Overall, as I said, I know I just made a video where I said McFarlane was getting really boring. This kind of ups it a little bit, even though these figures don't like necessarily blow my tiny little reptilian brain out of its skull, but at least it gets me talking. It gets me a little bit excited for the future here. I know there are some great figures down the pipeline. We already saw them at WonderCon, so It's all kind of, you know, it's getting my juices flowing a little bit. I'm excited again. I'm a little bit more excited than I was a few days ago. So let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Do you plan on picking up any of these figures? Do you have any complaints about these reveals? Let me know down below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Stay tuned if you guys enjoy rambling action figure content. We're uploading content at least on a daily basis. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.